It started like any other Saturday morning at the small community karate dojo on the corner of Maple Street. Parents were chatting softly on the benches, the sound of small feet shuffling on the mat filling the room, and the instructor calling out moves with firm but encouraging words. But for 9-year-old Amara, today didn't feel like a normal day. She had walked in with her head slightly lowered, clutching her white belt a little too tightly, trying to block out the whispers and giggles coming from a group of older students near the back. They had been making fun of her for weeks, mocking her hair, her small size, even saying she didn't belong in karate because she wasn't good enough. The truth was, Amara loved karate. Ever since she watched her first martial arts movie with her dad, she dreamed of being strong, confident, and able to protect herself and others. But every time she stepped into that dojo, the same kids made it harder to believe in herself. They called her names, made faces when she practiced, and sometimes laughed so loud during her kicks that she wanted to cry. Her mom always told her, "You don't have to fight with words. Let your hard work speak for you." Today, Amara was hoping that advice would finally make sense. The class was supposed to be about teamwork and discipline, but instead, the bullies turned it into a show. When the instructor announced they'd be pairing up for sparring practice, the whispers started again. "Watch her fall," one boy sneered. "She's too slow," another girl added, smirking at her friends. Amara heard every word, but this time she didn't shrink away. She tied her belt tightly, stepped forward, and took a deep breath. Her heart was pounding, but there was a new kind of fire in her eyes, something even the bullies hadn't seen before. The instructor paired her with one of the loudest kids in the group, a boy 2 years older and much taller. The boy grinned as if victory was already his. Parents leaned forward on the benches, sensing something was about to happen. The air grew heavy with tension, and even the other kids fell silent, waiting to see what Amara would do. She bowed respectfully, like she had been taught, but the boy only rolled his eyes and raised his fists. The match started, and for a moment, everyone thought they knew how it would go. The boy charged forward, aiming to push her down and embarrass her like before, but this time Amara didn't step back. In one swift, precise movement, she turned his attack against him. Gasps filled the dojo as he stumbled, barely catching his balance. The bullies exchanged nervous glances, their smug expressions faltering. Amara's small frame seemed to move faster than anyone expected, each step focused, every motion controlled. She wasn't fighting to show off. She was fighting to finally make them stop. The clock had barely ticked past a minute when it happened. In under 60 seconds, the room watched in stunned silence as Amara executed a clean, practiced technique that sent her opponent flat on the mat. The boy froze, shocked, unable to get up right away. The instructor's whistle blew, and for the first time, no one dared to laugh. The same kids who had mocked her stood frozen, their smirks gone. Replaced with wide-eyed disbelief, Amara stood there breathing hard, not smiling, not gloating, just calm. She bowed again, showing the respect she'd been taught, even when no one had shown it to her. The entire dojo was silent except for the sound of her steady breaths. Her mom's words echoed in her head. "Let your hard work speak for you." And for the first time, she truly understood what they meant. But just as the room began to settle, a new tension swept through the air. The boy she defeated wasn't about to let it go. His friends were whispering, plotting something, and their glares made it clear this wasn't over. Amara might have won the match, but she could feel it deep down something bigger was coming. What she didn't know was that this moment would change everything about her journey, not just in karate, but in ways she could never imagine. The dojo felt different after Amara's match, but not in a good way. The air was thick with unspoken words, and even as the instructor tried to move on with the class, everyone's eyes kept darting toward her. The boy she had defeated sat on the edge of the mat, glaring, his pride clearly bruised. His friends whispered in a tight circle, stealing glances at Amara as if plotting their next move. Amara kept her face calm, but inside her heart was racing. She knew kids like them didn't take humiliation lightly. And whatever they were planning, it wasn't going to be kind. After class, Amara quickly untied her belt and stuffed it into her bag, hoping to slip out before anyone stopped her. Mom was waiting near the door, smiling proudly, but Amara could barely meet her gaze. She wanted to feel proud too, after all. She had just proven herself in front of everyone, but instead, all she felt was a heavy pit in her stomach. She'd seen the look in those bullies' eyes, and it told her that today was just the beginning of something worse. As they walked to the car, her mom reached for her hand. "You were amazing in there," she said softly. "I'm so proud of you." Amara managed a small smile, but her thoughts were far away. She kept glancing back toward the dojo where the group of bullies had gathered outside, talking in hushed voices. One of them noticed her looking and smirked, making a mocking karate bow before bursting into laughter. Amara quickly ducked into the car, wishing she could disappear. On the ride home, her mom tried to lift her spirits. "You've been working so hard, and today everyone saw what you're capable of," she said. "Don't let anyone make you doubt yourself." Amara nodded but stayed quiet, staring out the window as the city streets blurred past. She wanted to believe her mom's words, but something told her this wasn't over. At home, she went straight to her room and sat on her bed, hugging her knees. The memory of the match replayed in her mind, how fast her opponent had fallen. How shocked everyone had looked, but instead of pride, she felt nervous. Kids could be cruel, and the way they looked at her afterward felt like a warning. She wasn't scared of fighting. She was scared of what they might do next when the instructor wasn't there to watch. The next few days at school proved her fears right. The same kids from karate class whispered behind her back in the hallway, making jokes whenever she passed by. "Watch out, she's dangerous," one boy said loud enough for everyone to hear. Another added, "Bet she thinks she's a real fighter now," laughing as if the idea was ridiculous. Amara tried to ignore them, focusing on her schoolwork. But the teasing followed her everywhere. Even in karate class the next week, the tension hadn't faded. The instructor praised her improvement, but the bullies didn't let it slide. During warm-ups, they made little comments, calling her lucky, and saying she didn't deserve the win. The boy she had defeated the week before avoided sparring with her, but his friends pushed the instructor to pair one of them with her. Clearly hoping to embarrass her in front of everyone, Amara could feel the pressure building. Every class became a test, not just of her skills, but of her patience. She remembered her mom's advice about letting her actions speak, but it was getting harder not to react. She wanted to shout at them, tell them to stop, but part of her knew that was exactly what they wanted, to see her break. One evening, after another rough day, Amara sat at the kitchen table, poking at her dinner. Her mom noticed the faraway look on her face. "You want to talk about it?" she asked gently. Amara hesitated, then whispered, "Why don't they like me?" "I never did anything to them." Her mom sighed, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "Sometimes people pick on others because they see something special in them," she said. "You're strong, Amara. You don't give up. That scares people who don't understand you. But you can't let them decide who you are." The words comforted her a little, but deep down, Amara knew this wasn't just about being misunderstood. There was something more behind their behavior, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. The way they had huddled together after her win. The way they kept looking at her like they were waiting for the right moment. It felt like they were planning something bigger. A few days later, during a special Saturday class, the tension reached a new level. The instructor announced that they'd be holding a mini-tournament soon, where students could demonstrate their skills in front of judges and parents. The bullies immediately glanced at Amara, whispering and snickering. She felt her stomach tighten. Whatever they were planning, the tournament might be their chance to carry it out. As the class ended, Amara overheard one of the kids saying, "She won't last next time." "We'll make sure of it." Another responded, "Yeah, let's see her act tough when it's not a fluke." The words stung, but more than that, they unsettled her. She knew they weren't just talking about sparring. They wanted to embarrass her, to prove she didn't belong there. That night, Amara lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. She thought about quitting karate, about never going back to that dojo. But then she remembered how it felt to land that perfect move, to stand tall even when they had mocked her. She remembered the look on her mom's face, proud and full of belief. A quiet determination settled over her. If they wanted to test her again, she would be ready. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The bullies weren't just being mean, they seemed desperate to take her down, as if there was more at stake than just teasing a younger student. She didn't know what it was yet, but she could feel it coming, a storm building on the horizon, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when it did, Amara knew her life at the dojo, and maybe even outside of it, would never be the same. The week leading up to the mini-tournament felt like it lasted forever. Every day after school, Amara trained harder than before, repeating every kick, every block, and every stance until her muscles ached. But no matter how much she practiced, a knot of worry stayed in her chest. She could still hear the bullies' voices in her head, mocking her, planning something she couldn't quite see. It wasn't just about winning or losing anymore. Something deeper was happening, and she didn't understand why she had become their target. At the dojo, the tension grew worse. The boy she had beaten the first time, Marcus, kept his distance, but his friends, Sasha and Devin, watched her like hawks. When the instructor wasn't looking, they whispered to each other, casting quick glances her way, their eyes filled with a strange kind of challenge. Amara felt the weight of it pressing on her every time she stepped on the mat. She didn't say anything to the instructor, partly because she didn't want to seem weak, but also because she knew that telling wouldn't stop them. It might only make it worse. One afternoon, Amara stayed late to practice after class. The dojo was quiet, the sun dipping low through the windows, casting long shadows across the mats. She moved through her drills, trying to focus on her form, when she overheard voices in the hallway. She froze, recognizing them instantly. Marcus, Sasha, and Devin. She thinks she's special just because of one lucky win, Sasha said, her tone sharp. The tournament will show everyone she's not, Marcus laughed. Yeah, we'll take her out before she even gets a chance. Devin added, we just need to make sure she can't focus. Embarrass her, mess with her head, she fold. Amara's chest tightened. It wasn't just teasing anymore, they were plotting to humiliate her on purpose, to make her quit. She stayed hidden, listening, but their voices faded as they left. She wanted to cry, scream, or run to her mom, but instead, she stayed standing on the empty mat, fists clenched, vowing that no matter what they tried, she wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. At home, her mom noticed the tiredness in her eyes. You're working too hard, she said, brushing Amara's braids away from her face. Karate is supposed to make you stronger, not drain all your joy. Amara hesitated before whispering, what if people want you to fail, no matter what? You do? Her mom knelt beside her. Then you remind yourself why you started, not for them, not for trophies, for you. She kissed Amara's forehead. And you don't fight alone, remember that? Those words stuck with Amara, but the unease didn't go away. The tournament was getting closer, and the other students seemed to sense the rivalry brewing. Whispers spread in the locker room. Kids taking sides. Some were excited to see a showdown, while others quietly told Amara they believed in her. It felt like the entire dojo was holding its breath, waiting for the moment when everything would come to a head. Meanwhile, Marcus had his own struggles that no one saw. At home, he was under pressure to be the best in everything, especially in karate. His older brother had been a local champion, and his parents constantly reminded him he had to live up to that. Losing to a younger, smaller student had felt like the worst kind of shame, and instead of dealing with it, he turned that anger toward Amara. She became the symbol of his failure, and he couldn't let it go. Sasha and Devin weren't much different. They weren't bad kids at heart, but they thrived on following Marcus's lead. In a strange way, being part of the group made them feel powerful, like they had control over something. Picking on Amara gave them an audience, a reason to laugh, a way to feel bigger than they really were. None of them admitted it out loud, but deep down, they were afraid of losing, afraid of not being good enough. As the tournament day approached, Amara's anxiety mixed with determination. She trained in secret at home, practicing until late at night in her room, her movements slow and deliberate so she wouldn't wake her mom. She studied videos of matches online, learning how to stay calm under pressure. She wasn't just preparing to win. She was preparing to face whatever tricks Marcus and his friends had planned, but strange things started happening at the dojo. During one practice, Amara's gear went missing, only to be found later stuffed in a bathroom trash can. Another time, someone loosened the knot on her belt before sparring, making it slip mid-match. No one admitted to it, but she knew who was behind it. Every incident was designed to shake her confidence, to make her doubt herself before the tournament. Even the instructor noticed something was wrong but couldn't pin it on anyone. "Amara, you're distracted lately," he said one evening. "A good martial artist keeps their mind clear. Whatever's bothering you, don't let it own you on the mat." She nodded, swallowing her frustration. If she told the truth, it would just make things worse. The night before the tournament, Amara lay awake again, staring into the dark. Fear tugged at her, whispering that maybe the bullies were right, maybe she didn't belong. But beneath the fear was something stronger, a flicker of defiance that refused to die. She thought of her mom's words, of the quiet pride she felt the first time she landed a perfect kick, of the way she wanted to prove to herself that she could do this. She didn't know what would happen tomorrow. She didn't know if Marcus would try something during the match or if Sasha and Devin had more tricks ready. All she knew was that when the time came, she wouldn't run, and she wouldn't quit, and as the first light of dawn crept through her window, Amara had no idea that the tournament would not only test her skills, but uncover secrets, rivalries, and truths that would change everything at the dojo forever. The morning of the tournament arrived with a sharp chill in the air, even though the sun was shining brightly. Amara stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tying her uniform with steady hands, trying to quiet the storm inside her. Her mom helped, brushed down her collar, and whispered, "You're ready. You've always been ready." Amara nodded, but her mind was already at the dojo, already facing the mat, already bracing for whatever was coming. The parking lot was buzzing when they arrived. Families poured in carrying cameras and water bottles, younger kids bouncing excitedly, while older students paced the sidewalks. Inside the dojo, it was even louder cheering, clapping, the shuffle of feet on the mat. The walls were lined with parents and instructors from other schools. Everyone had come to watch. But it wasn't the crowd that made Amara's heart pound. It was the moment she spotted Marcus across the room, flanked by Sasha and Devin. He didn't smile, didn't taunt her this time. He just stared, his expression unreadable. Amara checked in, warmed up quietly in a corner, and avoided eye contact. But whispers still floated through the room. "That's the girl who beat Marcus. She's just a kid, though. Watch, he's gonna crush her this time." She heard every word, but she didn't let them in. She couldn't. Her focus had to stay tight, because if she slipped even for a second, they'd be waiting to take advantage. The matches began, and Amara was called into her first round. She faced a student from another school, older, taller, like most of her opponents, but Amara was fast. Her focus razor sharp. She blocked, spun, struck, and won with clean points. Her next opponent was stronger, but again she stayed grounded, used her footwork, remembered her training, and she won again. The crowd started to murmur, not in disbelief this time, but with interest. They were starting to pay attention. Each time she stepped off the mat, she felt eyes on her Marcus's eyes. And each time she won, his jaw clenched tighter. He wasn't cheering for anyone. He was watching her, and the look on his face said it all. This wasn't about karate anymore. This was personal. Then came the announcement everyone had been waiting. FOR semifinal round. Amara versus Marcus. The crowd leaned forward. Even the instructor looked uneasy, aware of the tension. The two walked to the center of the mat, bowed, and took their positions. For a moment, it was dead silent. You could hear every breath, every shuffle of a foot. Amara kept her hands up, her stance light. Marcus stood like stone, expression flat, unreadable. The match began. Marcus moved quickly, more aggressively than he should have. His strikes came fast, forceful, designed to intimidate. Amara dodged, blocked, and countered with control. The first few seconds were clean, technical. But then something shifted. Marcus started pushing boundaries. His hits got rougher, his movements harder. He wasn't looking for points, he was trying to shake her. Maybe even scare her off the mat. Amara stumbled once but recovered fast. The audience gasped. Her mom stood from the crowd, eyes wide but calm. Amara could feel her gaze, steady like a lighthouse in a storm. She reset her stance. The instructor warned Marcus once too much contact, but the boy just nodded and kept coming. Then came the moment everything almost fell apart. Marcus lunged forward. With a low sweep that missed, but as Amara turned to counter, he shoved her. Mid-spin an illegal push. She fell hard, hitting the mat with a dull thud. The audience broke into shocked murmurs. The instructor blew the whistle, stepping in immediately. Amara's eyes stung, not from the fall, but from the humiliation. She could hear Sasha's voice laughing somewhere near the back. But when she looked up, something in her had changed. Her body ached, but her spirit didn't break. She got up slowly, dusted herself off, and raised her hands again. The instructor checked on her, asked if she wanted to continue. She didn't hesitate. Yes, she said firmly. The match resumed, but this time Amara's energy was different. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't angry either. She was calm, completely focused. Marcus tried to rattle her again, but she stayed light on her feet, responding with sharp, clean techniques. She blocked his advances, returned smart counters, scored 2 quick points in a row, and then something unexpected happened. Marcus faltered. He hesitated mid-move, eyes flickering with doubt. It was as if, for the first time, he realized she wasn't going to break. She wasn't going to back down, no matter how hard he pushed. Amara saw it in his posture. His power was slipping. The audience noticed too. People started cheering for her, clapping louder with every move. The other students who once whispered now looked surprised, some even inspired. Devin and Sasha sat frozen, watching their friend lose his grip on the match and on the fear he had used for so long to control others. Then, just as Amara was setting up for her next technique, the whistle blew, time was up, the match was over. The scores were being calculated. Everyone leaned in, breath held, tension filling every corner of the room, but no winner was announced yet, and in that long pause, Amara looked across the mat at Marcus. He looked back at her, breathing hard, face flushed, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper. Something shifting. Whatever came next, Amara knew this moment had already changed everything.